Language focus. Modal verbs. Giving advice in the present or the future. To give advice in the present or the future, we can use should, had better, ought to, plus the infinitive. You should drive carefully. You ought to drive carefully. You'd better drive carefully. And we can use the negative form shouldn't, had better not, or ought not to. You shouldn't stay up late at night. You'd better not smoke heavily. Ought not to is not usually used in the negative form. Giving advice in the past. To give advice in the past, we can use should have plus the past participle. You should have visited your ill friend. Shouldn't have plus the past participle. You shouldn't have shouted at your mother. Study these synonyms carefully. Should equals ought to, had better, I advise you to, if I were you I'd, it's advisable for somebody to, it's desirable for somebody to, it would be a good idea to, you'd rather, it's a good thing to. And all these synonyms are followed by the infinitive. Shouldn't equal I advise you not to, it's inadvisable for somebody to, had better not, it's undesirable for somebody to, if I were you I wouldn't, it would not be a good idea to, you'd rather not. And all these synonyms are followed by the infinitive. Obligation and necessity. To express obligation and necessity, we use must, has to, or have to in the present, and all of them are followed by the infinitive. Ali must attend the party. He has to play the match. I have to sleep early. In the past, we can use had to plus the infinitive. I had to revise my lessons. But in the future, we use will have to. I will have to study hard. Lack of necessity. When something is not necessary, we can use needn't, don't have to, doesn't have to, don't need to, or doesn't need to. And all of these are followed by the infinitive. She needn't play the match. I don't have to buy a car. She doesn't need to have a taxi. In the past, we use didn't have to, didn't need to, or needn't have plus the past participle. She didn't have to buy a new dress. She needn't have bought a new dress. In the future, we use won't have to. She won't have to go to work. Study the difference between she didn't have to buy a new dress, she needn't have bought a new dress. The first sentence means that it wasn't necessary and she didn't buy a new dress. But the second means it wasn't necessary, but she already bought a new dress. Prohibition. To express prohibition when something is prohibited or forbidden, we use mustn't plus the infinitive. You mustn't park in a no parking area. You mustn't smoke in hospitals. Study these synonyms carefully. Mustn't equals it's not allowed to, it's forbidden to, it's banned to, it's against the law to, it's prohibited. Now, rewrite the following sentences using the word in brackets. I advise you not to eat so many sweets. You shouldn't eat so many sweets. I advise you to go to the gym more often to keep fit. You should go to the gym more often to keep fit. You can't drive at more than 110 kilometers per hour on the motorway. You mustn't drive at more than 110 kilometers per hour on the motorway. It's inadvisable to take medicine without asking your doctor. You shouldn't take medicine without asking your doctor. It's necessary for us to be economical. We must be economical. You mustn't park here. You are banned from parking here. Or we can say, parking here is banned. You mustn't smoke in the theater. Smoking is forbidden in the theater. You must leave at once. It's obligatory for you to leave at once. It would be a good idea to read a lot in your free time. You should read a lot in your free time. You mustn't exceed the speed limit. You are prohibited from exceeding the speed limit. Or we can say, exceeding the speed limit is prohibited. Thanks for listening. With Nafham, learn easily and simply.